Welcome to a special edition of the Coaster Heat podcast. Coming at you like a menacing dive coaster in the Lehigh Valley skyline. It's your boy Biff. And as always, I am joined by the Coy to my Vance, the Hall to my Nash, the Morgan to my Alfundo, my man, Sir Valence.
Hello, everybody.
Also joining us, who makes us the trios champion of the podcast world. He is the man who put together, edited, and put out the video of yours truly at Dorney Park this year. It is the founder of the Ghoster Coasters channel, Scooby Coasters.
Hey, I appreciate that awesome intro, Biff. I'm super excited to be here tonight. Special guest on tonight. This is a great episode, so thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate you guys and all you listeners out there.
And, ladies and gentlemen, we have a fourth seat with us in the studio tonight.
Drum roll,
always
please.
equated up to the NWO, Hall, Nash, and Hogan. And the NWO got their first celebrity, and now the Coaster Heat podcast has their first celebrity. Ladies and gentlemen, from Dorney Park, it's Rydilla, Ryan Eldredge. Say hi, Ryan.
What's up, man? Dude, your energy is infectious. I just want to say, I gotta be honest, man. Call me celebrity is a stretch, but I am honored to be on the show tonight.
Well, you're definitely a celebrity to us.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
I appreciate it. Good to be on with you boys.
So
Ryan, if you would just go ahead.
anything much going on at Dorney Park? I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, not at all, man. We just got done Grand Carnival. We're getting ready for Haunt. And then somewhere in the middle there, we dropped that bomb, 8/10, got a brand new B&M dive coaster coming at you spring of 2024. So we're amped up. We got a lot of juice at Dorney Park right now.
Yeah. I think it's the hidden secret of the coaster community. I really do.
The best kept secret.
Yeah, I said the hidden secret, but yeah, the best kept secret.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll be honest with you. I was telling somebody the other day, I'm a good confidant. I really am. But holding on to something like that. And here's the thing. It's not like just telling anybody. It's like I have very, very close friends or folks that I work with at Dorney Park who are essential to helping me get done what I get done on a daily basis. And to not be able to tell them anything about this ride was killing me inside. So when we got to August 10th, man, I felt like a huge weight off my shoulders at about 9 a.m. Because then you also have all the challenges of like, oh my Lord, I hope the POV goes out right. I hope the sizzle reel goes out right. I hope everybody receives it well. I hope all the media that needed to like come and I hope they're all good. There's a lot. So by like 9:30, I was like, oh man, we made it. It was a good feeling.
So for anyone listening who doesn't know who you are, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I can do that. So I am Dorney Park Water Kingdoms. Got to get that in there. Public relations and communications manager. I wear a number of different hats for the park. I am our social media manager. I am our content coordinator. I do our video and photography work along with our actual content coordinator, Bree Boyer, who is my right hand. She's a part-timer, and then I had a seasonal intern named Sophia that would also help me with the social media. But on top of that, we do all our charitable outreach through my department, a lot of our internal communications and our hiring. And overall, we have a couple different hats, but that's the quick skip of what I do for the park.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
How long you've been doing that? How long now?
18 months. 18 months, going on 19 here. So feels like a lifetime, but yeah, about a year and a half.
How did you get started in the PR bit? So
I've done a number of different jobs. It's really my first PR gig that I ever did. I did an internship with Comcast Sportsnet, which is like NBC Sports Now in Philadelphia, and I like ran cable and did a bunch of odd jobs for them for the Flyers and 76ers in Philadelphia. And so that's when I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool job. And in college, I did some video work and some creative writing. Went out, did news. I was like a journalist or for 8 or 9 years. That was not my thing after a while. It was pretty clear, not making my heart sing. And I went into public relations for government. Didn't enjoy that either, to be honest with you. Paid well, like it. And so I started to think of like, what do I want to do? Guys, to be honest with you, I had no idea that this was a job. I did not know that I could, use like what I'm good at, like video and photography, and like I'm witty. I like social media. Like I like that kind of stuff, and my comments and just like all the elements. And then like I like people, which is a big part. And so I remember seeing the job posting on like Indeed or something, right? And I'm like, all right, I have the prerequisite number of years. Like I've been in this industry in some form or fashion, like PR marketing for like 10 years, jumped around a bunch of different jobs. And I'm like, I think I can do this. So I applied, and next thing you know, Cedar Fair called, and so did Mike Fainal, who was the GM at the time at Dorney Park. And they're telling me what this job is. And I'm like, dude, I could totally, I remember sitting in the interview going like, I could totally do this job. Like, it doesn't, sometimes you're like, you apply for it and you're like, I don't know if I qualify or not. But as they're going through like what the job entails, I'm like, I can do this job. I don't know how well, but I know I can do this job. And then a couple of weeks later, they call, offer me the job. And I remember I hadn't been at this job with the state government for too long. I remember just like in my brain immediately was like, I got to leave this gig. This is too good to pass up. And it wasn't because like, my boss there was great. The job was cool, but I'm like, this something about this job. This is like where I need to be. And I was thinking about it the other day when we made the announcement. I'm sitting in my car, and I'm not an emotional guy, but like I said, we had gone through a lot to get to that point. And I just remember sitting in my car and being like, man, that was one of the best decisions of my life was coming to this park. So, yeah, man, I just, I don't know. Life just kind of leads you to places in weird ways, but just kind of felt like universe opened the door, and then, God or whatever you want to say, kicked me right through that thing. So I don't really feel like I had a choice. I feel like the job kind of picked me.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it sounds like you like naturally just love being there and doing this stuff. That's like one of the most exciting things to hear from people when they talk about their job, is when they actually are passionate about it. And you can hear that when you talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You get your days where you're walking in the water park and it's 95 degrees and you got a camera and you're trying to do stuff. But for the most part, I really do love this job. It's funny because I thought I loved other jobs, and then I had this job, and I'm like, nah, I don't know if I actually really love those jobs. I might have liked those jobs, but this is different. It's like a whole level of different, where I just enjoy it.
A whole new sense of like gratifying moments and whatnot while you're there.
Yeah, and a sense of responsibility too. Like I think part of the reason why I'm so drawn to Dorney and why I love it so much is like two of my best memories as a kid. This is a true story. One of the first trips. So my mom, she was single growing up, so we couldn't afford a whole heck of a lot. But we did like a group field trip or something, around Philadelphia. You go on a field trip. Sometimes you go to Dorney Park, or you go to Hershey. And I did both, but we went to Dorney, and the first one of my first core memories was I made a shot in the 3-point challenge. It was on the hill, because Dorney's built on a massive hill. It's like on your way down to Dominator, and I made it. I got like a Michigan State basketball. I have no idea why. I don't like Michigan State. I never did. Just had the Spartan, which looked cool, and I got that ball. And then the next time I went back, I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and I got to ride Steel Force. It was like my first big boy coaster.
Oh yeah.
And ever since then, I've just had like this sense of like responsibility and love for that park that I can't explain. And so when I got this job, like I have carried that like love as like an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old into my job. Like I think that's one of the things that helps me with my job, is like I still can see the park as like a child would. And sometimes to a fault, like I'm climbing around on stuff, and our maintenance guys are like, "Dude, you gotta have a harness to be on the Meteor. What are you doing?" And I don't know, man. So like I still see it as like a theme park, whereas I think some people get in the business over time and they see it like a business. Like I still see it as like I'm an 8-year-old walking around the park.
That's really cool. Scooch, you got some questions?
Yeah, I actually had a couple of questions, and forgive me if I overstep some boundaries here. But one of the first things I did want to ask about is Dorney Park does open a little bit later in the season than other parks in the area. And I was wondering, with the addition of Iron Menace, if that would be something that you guys were looking at, like maybe earlier opening or not.
You're dead on, man. We're targeting it. We are talking about it. As soon as that thing is ready, I would anticipate that we will be open not much long after. So does that happen in April? If it does, you expect to see Dorney Park opening in April. If it happens in early May, expect to see Dorney Park open in early May. We're not going to build that thing and let it sit. So, we know our competitors around us are expanding their operating calendar, and we need to do the same thing. So, glad you asked. Yes, it is a conversation. It's been a conversation we've been having for about a year. And I think the ride, if nothing else, accelerates that conversation. So I can't commit to anything, but I will say when that ride's done, Dorney Park will be open.
That's amazing. Awesome. Yeah, that was something that, I mean, a lot of people on like the social medias had been talking about that, asking like with this edition. So it's awesome to hear that you guys are definitely taking that into account.
You guys are the first ones to ask me, so you're the first ones to get the answer.
I'm telling you, yeah. I watched every single interview that you've done recently about it so far. That's why I stuck, because Coaster Studios actually talked about it at the end of their like video, but they weren't on with you anymore. And they're like, I wonder if they'd open earlier now. And I was like, bingo, that's a great one.
That's a good question. Yeah, shout out Taylor, Bybee, and Sarah.
Yeah, definitely awesome. So leading into the next part, because I know you've paid attention to content creators. I heard you say it on there. How do you guys handle it when they actually predict things kind of accurately before your guys' release? Like what goes on behind the scenes there with that?
I just go like, man, that's really, look at that guy. That's special, huh? I mean, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like call him up and congratulate him? Like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I like to try to mess with people to feel like they were wrong, because I'm that kind of person. But we had some stuff down by the site where we just like left like a bunch of old haunt stuff sitting around. People are like, oh man, I think the theme of this new haunt must be Egypt. And it's like, nah, bro, we just set some junk over there to see if we mess with you. So like, I mean, if anything, we might just mess with, like, I might do an interview with somebody and take the calculated risk of like, somebody might be listening to this. So maybe if I try to lean into like, well, maybe we're getting GCI. Like,
right.
There was one, I think it might have been El Toro Ryan. Someone basically nailed it right out the gate. And I was like, and to be honest, like I haven't been in this industry too long. And I remember going to our general manager. I'm like, dude, people could do that. And Jessica was like, yeah, people can do that. And I'm like, that's incredible. Like, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm just going to call the guy and be like, dude, you're awesome. But
evil detectives out there everywhere, not just surveillance.
Yeah, there's not too much you can do about it. And I mean, at the end of the day, too, like speculation's good, right? I mean, and I think like, people, honestly, ours is probably the worst kept secrets, speaking of secrets, but like, who cares, man? I mean, no one really knows until I say it or until we say it. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, everybody could think it's going to rain when there's dark clouds. I mean, it might not rain though. Right. So there's that. Like, I'm 99% sure it's going to be a B&M dive. Oh, but you got that 1%. So,
that's what kept me going the whole time. I was like, what else could it be?
Yeah, that's same.
I mean, I guess there was one person, there's one person throughout like a whole wing concept. I mean, there's stuff. There's a couple different models that might have fit on that piece of property. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody kind of knew like it was going to be, I think everybody kind of knew it was going to be a dive, but that's fine. The thing that's really going to make ours better is like, there's a couple things on there that are unique or different or slightly better than other ones. And the theming is huge. And that's really what I think gets me jazzed more than anything.
Yeah, same here, especially being tied with the haunted attraction you guys were talking about planning too. That's going to be super amazing for that area.
Yeah. So, and now here's the thing with that is we did this whole teaser campaign, which my team, we put our heart and soul into that. And I think
you guys nailed it, by the way.
Hey, we're not done. So that's what I was going to say. It's not over yet, man.
Oh,
so
man.
I was telling somebody this the other. Like if you watched all of those and you thought, oh, okay, that led to a dive coaster, it's like, oh no, that told an incomplete story. We just got an urban explorer in there, and then what? Oh, there's more. So our next big announcement is going to be September 7th, which I think you kind of got an idea of what it is. But we're going to get into more details on September 7th about that, and some of these we've got, I think 5. Maybe 6 more. I'm flirting with another one. 5, maybe 6 more teasers to get us to that point that are going to incorporate the existing teaser concept. And it's going to get darker. So there's going to be more.
Oh, wow.
kind of go through it. So, because I remember people were like, "What happens to this Urban Explorer?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, it didn't just turn into a dive coaster. There's more, buddy." Because, like we said, I mean, this is not just we're slapping in a ride and that's it. Like we've got more. There's more coming. It was kind of cool actually. I was like, you never know if people are gonna care. Like if we put steel on the bathroom down there, like is anybody gonna be excited? But I think what helped me realize that people do get jazzed about that kind of stuff is like the Zephyr announcement. I was like, hey, Zephyr's close to the season, and people were like pumped. And somebody was like, why are they pumped? And I'm like, because this is just a sign of like we're doing more. Like we are 100% doing more than just like a Halloween attraction.
Like
So,
Zephyr going through that station, like that is such an amazing touch. Like,
yeah, it's dope, right?
yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I love it too because I love, and you guys know this, I love Old Dorney. I think that's honestly when I go to other parks, like I think that's what sets really good parks apart are the ones who can like either grab onto their local identity, or they can really grasp that nostalgia and hold on to those old rides. And I've been to a lot of parks over the course of my life, especially in the last 2 or 3 years here. I feel like we do that as good as anybody else, like holding on to the Whip or the Zephyr or Thunderhawk.
Absolutely.
Like when I see people are like RMC Thunderhawk, I'm like, you got to be out of your mind.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
99 years old. No, man. Like deal with it being a little bit rough. It's not happening.
Hey,
I
she
know,
was
I would
running
say-
good this year, way better than they did last
Well,
year.
we
Did you say there was some track work done on that?
Track work and the actual trains were rebuilt again.
Yeah,
by-
man. I knew
by
the trains looked different, but it was
Yeah.
a much smoother ride this year than it was last year. Way better ride. Not
Yeah.
smooth, but it was better.
Yeah, and so that's a big part of who we are. I mean, I will say this: if Hercules stayed, it probably would have gotten RMC'd. But I mean, she bit the dust a little too soon. Speaking of that thing that you guys ran at the beginning.
That was
awesome.
that was the wrong promo, by the way, but that's par for the course with us.
It worked, but it worked. It was dope as hell. Like I was expecting the other one too. And when you played Hercules, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that was
nothing
it
wrong with
right there.
Hercules. Nothing wrong with Hercules, man.
No.
So Ryan, I actually had another question here. If you guys were to say have a record year for attendance, would this and like a high return on your investment, would this entice Dorney to maybe build more coasters at a quicker rate in the future?
So what? I'll be honest with you. So like internally, we don't expect to have record attendance. We do expect to get back to pre-pandemic levels, and if we can even do that, we have like a 10-year plan. There are plans to do more as we move into the future. So yeah, I mean, short answer: if we have a successful year, that's going to help us.
Sweet.
like no doubt. I mean, that's the short answer. We're kind of hoping that we can move into some things at the water park and some more like expanded theming and changes to Dorney overall that kind of set us up well for the future. So like, yeah, this ride is like, this was critical getting to this point and getting to the point where we can build it. And I don't know, I keep saying it and maybe it's not right, but for me as someone who grew up here, it's just like, kind of feels like we're like a lot of people on the map. And I think I've even said that, but it's not back on the map. I feel like we're always on the map. Like we've been here since
Always been on the map.
Yeah. We've been here since 1884, but it's like we're finally like playing chess again, where we're just kind of like sitting there, not really making any moves. It's like we're finally like moving a bishop or a rook. Like we're finally like a legitimate move. So
yeah, that's real funny
You're
too.
back
Because I
in the
had
main
put that in
event.
there. I was like, I saw you say putting yourselves back on the map again, and I was like, oh man, I took that out of there before I asked you actually.
I love that. I mean, I've been saying it. I mean, I do think that like we've kind of been, like I said, maybe not like playing on the map, but I do think maybe it's more just like we're moving around, we're playing chess.
Finally, right? That checkmate finally again.
I equate a lot of stuff to wrestling, and for me, it's like you've been on the show, this whole time, but now you're back in the main event.
That's it. You got it. That's perfect.
I love it.
Love that.
Yeah, the ride looks amazing, and I can't wait to get back there because you guys got one of my beloved rides, my first ride ever in Demon Drop over there. So
I lost my keys on that ride.
I was waiting
I know you
for it.
did.
I lost my keys.
Yo, I might have even found them. I mean, well, yours didn't have a jet. I'm sure you're not a Jets fan, so. Found some
No,
like
absolutely not.
find some stuff in the back. I found like keys with like a Jets thing on them like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I wonder if those. And then I was like, nah, not the Jets, man.
Nah, Biff's the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan out there. I know it.
Oh
Not
yeah,
right now, not.
So I wanted to ask you about the backstory, if you
Yeah.
don't mind. Like,
Yeah.
did you come up with that, or did a PR agency come up with that? Like the Hiram McTavish?
yeah.
Like,
So actually, Ken Parks, who is on our, who is with XDS, which is like one of our design teams, actually I think is the ringleader on that. So this is a lot of the backstory and the ride concepts were kind of done in think tank. Execution obviously is either park level or B&M, but that backstory is Ken Parks is kind of his baby, and coincidentally he's also the one that worked on Knots. So he slipped Hiram McTavish in there, and I remember when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, now like what are we gonna do with this?" And then I saw it. I kept thinking about it more, and I'm like, no, like actually, this is perfect. We're creating like a Cedar Fair cinematic universe,
I love
and
that.
we've got this ability to be like, first of all, anybody, if you could feel their heart beating while you're standing on their grave, there's already an element of paranormal there. But like McTavish is just a bad dude, and you guys are gonna see as we vet our story out further here and get to September 7th, like there's definitely an element of the paranormal from like not the good place, and so he. I think it's cool if you think McTavish died in the 1860s or whatever it is. I think it is 1860s, and then lived or maybe he didn't actually die, but there's a grave made for him in the 1860s, and then like he ends up becoming this like horrific steel baron in Pennsylvania, where he once again disappears.
so that's been my speculation. Like his gravestone says 1886. Like,
Yeah, there you go.
did he fake his own death? Like,
Well, I mean, we think he faked his own death in Allentown. It could have been the second time, right? Maybe this is just a character who just continues his way through Cedar Fair through the generations.
no,
I love it.
I love the
Speaking-
paranormal aspect of this, being a super big into ghosts and whatnot. That's going to be a fun storyline to follow.
and
Yeah.
speaking,
Maybe he inhabited another body, and that's why the coaster next to it is called Possessed.
Yeah,
There.
Possessed
Wow.
is not getting a name change, and Possessed is not going anywhere because she fits right in, right where she is. So,
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
So just speaking for myself, like I love the inner park connectivity. Like I think that's
Yeah,
brilliant
same.
from Cedar Fair. Like when I see like the moonshine bottle like at Kings Island that's from Cedar Point, obviously.
No, when you see the trout hatchery box at Kings Island, that represents Dorney Park.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm the first one to break that.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
like the Calico explosives, like it's obviously not, but it's at
Yeah.
Kings Island. Like that's really cool, and I hope they expand on that.
yeah. I think one thing that Cedar Fair's done really well is having this like connectivity, and like this really good partnership between, it's kind of like we've got 4 different groups that kind of come together. There's like our larger ad agency. There's XDS, which is like our design team. Then you have Cedar Fair, like corporate Charlotte, which is like a lot of the upper management. And then you have your park team. And for this ride specifically, I think we all really had a good relationship, and really great conversations from the beginning. And I think that's why I've seen a lot of people say like this is one of the better ones, whatever. It doesn't, I mean, maybe you don't feel that way, but one of the better Cedar Fair rollouts they've seen. And I think it is because of that connectivity. And then, just I've always got to give my team credit, but for the execution aspect of it, it's like, I honestly think that we're one of the better teams and we were able to execute it really well. So
Absolutely.
that,
Agreed.
that helps.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Those videos had me excited like a little kid over here. My mom was giddy about them. I just love the paranormal element to it for real. It just reminds. I'm watching Ghost Adventures in the background on mute right now, actually. So
There you go. And
How
it's
did you
not
guys come up with the name?
Iron Menace. So that actually, so the naming process is like this whole thing. It's the Cedar Fair that like everybody's like looks forward to and everybody wants to be a part of. So I was talking about there's 4 different groups. Like each group kind of like went through their own like, hey, let's throw stuff at a wall here, and we know what the backstory is. Like the backstory is clearly identified. Then it's like the ride. We know what it is. We know it's going to be a B&M dive steel, right? Like, okay. And then we know, I think we knew at that time too, like inversions, dive, 95 degrees. Like, we know all the superlatives. It's like, all right, now take everything you know, and what is a name that will resonate or be most representative of all those things. And so each group went and came up with names, and then like we had an even smaller group go through those names, which I was like honored to be a part of that. I think I was the I was the Dorney Park representative by the time it was all over. Like kept shrinking down the group until we had like a group of 10 or 12, and it's like, let's go, like let's find out, everybody vote on these. I think we had like 20, where we, because you kind of go through and you're like, that's stupid, I don't like that one, that one's not going to work. Then we had like a group go through and copyright, can't use that one, can't use that one. We had like a list of 20, and it was like, vote on these 20, pick what your top 5 are and send them in. Well, when those top came through, it was like, here are the 5 that had the most votes, right? If you did like Hall of Fame voting, it's like this one had 50 points or whatever. And
Right.
so then we had like those 5 names. And
so Pete Rose still doesn't get in.
Exactly. And then you ring those 5 names through like copy and trademark again, even more intensive. 2 of them gets kicked out. And then we had 3 left. I can't remember what the third one was, but Iron Inferno was like a strange leader for a really long time throughout the process. And then we had a conversation about like, is that Iron Inferno is great, but like is that going to make like is that leaning too much into the fire aspect of it, when really what we want to do is kind of like almost get into more like the paranormal? Like, is there a name that can
tell the story? Yeah.
Represent both the paranormal and the ride itself? Because Inferno really only kind of tells the ride part of it with the blast furnace. And we were like, Menace works 2 ways. Iron Menace works as not only like McTavish's story, like McTavish and his iron ore cart, like that's menacing. He's an Iron Menace, and the cart itself is an Iron Menace. You riding on that is an Iron Menace. And then it's like that ride itself is an Iron Menace. It's steel, but steel's a byproduct of iron. And it's like, you just look at the ride itself and it's menacing. And we're like, that's probably the closest thing we're going to get. And we all loved it.
That's dope.
There was 3 names with iron that we were like, yo, all these names work really well. We love all these names, including Iron Inferno. And we were like, that's the one though. So like everybody loved Iron Menace. It cleared all the background stuff, trademark and copyright. And it just, honestly, this whole process too, it's like, how sometimes something starts and you're like, I'm okay with it, it's good. By the time we got done, I'm like, man, everything just feels perfect. Like, I love it. I love the name. I love the ride. I love the theming. Like, it just screams Allentown and screams Dorney Park.
And how dope is it that this is all new for you? Like, you know what I'm saying? This is their first project in years, and it's yours. I think that's the dopest part about it, bro.
Super dope. I mean, that's what I said, man. I just, man, a couple years ago, I was at a weird spot in my life, man. But it's like right now, I just feel so blessed. It's like, 18 years without a roller coaster. Now it's like my dumb butt is in this seat, and I'm the one like driving the social media bus and like putting together these sick videos and like, doing the interviews on the media about how great. It's like, who am I, man? Like, how did I get this lucky? Just blessed, man. Yeah, I agree with you. It's stupid lucky, or blessed.
It's great,
depending on how you look at it.
And the good job that you do just proves how great you are at what you do. And I just want to, I'm going to take a few minutes, man. I'm sorry if you guys had more questions. I just want to talk to you for a minute. And I should have done this when I was there the last time, but I'm just going to tell you how much it means to me, what you did for me and what you did for us as a PR guy. I know you told a story on the Drunk Riders, and you said that, shout out to the Drunk Riders, by the way, and that you said that, it was your first memory, and that you're like, these guys are probably getting emotional listening to it. I did because taking trips was something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. I always got to go to local parks, and it was the first big trip that we were going to take and go to different parks. And Dorney was the first one we were going to go to. So I decided I'm just going to talk some crap. I'm just going to, because, I used to be a pro wrestler. I don't know if you knew that, but I was a pro wrestler for about 20 years.
Yeah.
So when I talk on Twitter, I talk like I would if I was a wrestler. So I started challenging Dorney Park. We're coming. And you answered, right? You answered. You answered, and then when we got there, you kept answering. You clapped back, and then when you got there, you took time out of your day to come to us and say, "Thank you for coming, guys. We appreciate you being here." We went to 13 different theme parks last year. You know how many other theme parks did that for us?
0.
0. And that's the reason why I tweet about Dorney. And that's the reason why every theme park that I visit, I have 1 of 2 shirts on, and they always say Dorney Park. Because I want people to know that no matter what park I'm at or what park I go to, my favorite park for what they did for me and my friends and my crew will and always will be Dorney Park. And I want to thank you for that personally.
I'm tearing up thinking about it.
Honestly, yeah, I appreciate your time endlessly right now, Ryan. But what Biff just said goes well and beyond any words that we could share with you about being on with you or anything else. This is a super cool opportunity for all of us, so I appreciate you as well.
So, like, the way I look at it is like we're nobodies. Like, you didn't have to show us
Seriously.
fucking time of day.
Everybody's somebody to somebody. So don't undersell yourself too much. I mean, you guys are important to me. That's why I came out. I mean, everybody who walks the gates is important to me. And if you're bringing good positive energy, then we're gonna reciprocate. It's just kind of the way it gets. Also, the other thing that I learned from that story on a non-serious is we got to get you more than 2 shirts, man. Like, let me know what size you are. I'll get an Iron Menace one and put it aside for you. My lord.
No, but he doesn't know the
I can't wear it. I can't wear it till I ride it.
Yeah, he doesn't know the Coaster Heat merch rules. Like,
I don't
we can't
follow
wear
the
it till we ride it.
merch rule, just so you know.
right.
Well, what if you ride it in spirit? I mean, it is paranormal.
Oh, I'll wear it. I won't be able to wear it until I ride it. But you better believe once I ride it, I mean, I'm kind of hoping to be there with the day that it opens. I'm hoping,
Same, that'd be
All right,
awesome.
all right. Well, we're planning some media stuff out, so we might just have to make sure an invite finds your inbox. That's how that works. So
I would greatly appreciate that. Also, from our visit from last year, I want to tell you this little bit of story real fast. You became a catchphrase for us, and you didn't even know it.
I didn't know that. It's kind of scary.
So, yeah, there was a point where you came to meet us, and I was explaining to you about, you got to cover his face because that's his gimmick on Twitter.
Oh, yes.
And he said to you, I'm an evil detective. And you looked at him and you said, okay. But what I heard was, okay. So anytime anybody said anything to us that sounded kind of absurd, we would always go, okay. Because I would tell that people the story and I'd say, so when Paul said that, Ryan said, okay.
Like, what do you want me to do with that in the moment? That's what I was thinking. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, like, so when I met you, I was
Okay, bro.
I'm an evil detective on Twitter. Like, I don't even think you fucking knew who I was.
No, I did not know who you were.
I don't think you heard him say the part on Twitter because he was like, I'm an evil detective. And you were like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm over here trying to breathe.
So
then later on in the conversation, you quoted something about my shirt. I had a beach shirt on, and I said, thanks. And then Surveillance said, check my shirt out. And what you said was, okay, buddy.
Oh,
what I heard was, okay, buddy.
No, so I showed him my King Cobra shirt from Kings Island, which he still might not know what that route is. I don't know. But he's like, oh, the Cobra. Okay, buddy.
Okay. Nice.
So then that's what that story became. Okay, buddy. And then when the woman came to Dorney and you guys introduced her to Snoopy, we saw that and we were talking about that. And I said, that's what Ryan probably wanted to say to you when he met us at Dorney was, okay, buddy. You want to come meet Snoopy?
Yeah. Make it happen.
Man. Like it became an art. I mean, it still is. Like, we'll still do that. Like, okay.
It's like an ongoing bit for us, and you had no idea, but I think we made fools of ourselves is what we did.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good.
It's a lifelong memory now.
I'm wearing the Cobra shirt now. King Cobra. King's Island.
Oh man, the King Cobra. Speaking of, Ryan, I actually wanted to ask you just a kind of random question, but like, what are your favorite roller coasters out there? Like a top 5? Like, I haven't heard you been asked that, so I wanted to know what your favorite rides are actually.
Yeah. So
Steel Force.
yeah. Yes.
Talon.
Well, I mean, it kind of like it depends, right? Because I think like people when they say what their top 5 roller coasters are, I think they're thinking of like the coolest, like what's the coolest roller coaster I've ever done, or what was the most exhilarating, or
I have a favorites versus best list myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
we go by favorites. What's your favorite? That's your number one, right? Your favorite.
Favorite's like the one that I'm most attached to, right? It would for me, it would definitely be Steel Force would be number one. It's just like but
Man,
that being said, like if you said best, Talon would be above Steel Force, right? Also, I will say that I got to ride Talon with James McAvoy, and man, does that throw a counterpunch at old Steel Force? So
that is awesome.
That is really awesome.
So,
and I'm guessing you like Steel Force more than Magnum then too, huh?
yeah, of course,
It's
and Mamba, yeah. So, you know, it's kind of you guys know it's kind of cool. Is like I did get to go down and help with the like the media rollout the second time around for Zambezi Zinger, and so that one's kind of got a special little spot too. I did appreciate the team down there in Missouri, and so it's got a cool spot. But nah, like definitely for me, Steel Force and Talon are 1 and 2, just because of what they mean to me. And if I wasn't working at Dorney, would I say that? I don't know. I think Steel Force would probably be 1. I don't know if Talon would be, but Talon's created some really cool memories this last year for me, so it's definitely a 2. Believe it or not, I hate giving competitors anything, but Super Duper Looper in Hershey Park, my God, I still love that ride. If I go on that thing, just the loop is like the longest loop of all time, and it's just like I don't know. I just another one of those that I went on when I was a little kid, and I still love it. It's just like a great ride. Have always like thoroughly enjoyed it. I got to do Velocicoaster. That's probably my 4. Love that thing. And at Dollywood, man, I really enjoyed Lightning Rod. So I don't know. Right now, like off the top of my head, it's just like some of it too is like that was my first experience at Dollywood. I love the whole park. Went on single rider, like I loved it. It was great when I was there. So I think some of it is connected to the park and like memories, who you're with, what you're doing. It's not always like the ride itself. Because if you were like, what are your best 5 coasters? I don't think any of those 5 might make it. Maybe Steel Force, and that's about it. But you know, I think for me, that's probably my quick 5.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, definitely wanted to hear your favorites more so because it kind of gives some character to what you like to ride too.
Yep.
First thing I'm riding is Dorney or Demon Drop because
I lost my keys on that ride.
It's been 21 years since I've been on it. I can't wait.
You got to
still holds up, man.
Scoob, you got to tell them the story when you first went to Cedar Point.
All right, yeah. So my mom took me to Cedar Point when I was about 7 years old, and when we were walking into the park, she looked at me and she goes, "All right, you can pick any ride that you want to ride in this park, but if you cry about it or you don't like it, we're never coming back here again." So first thing I did is point at Demon Drop, and she goes, "All right, are you sure? Because like I said, if you cry, we're leaving." And then we got on it, and she showed me I probably shouldn't say this, but the old penny trick when people used to do that back in the day at Cedar Point. Yep. And then she showed me that, and that took like because I was a little scared going up the lift, and then as soon as we got up there, she put it on my knee. She's like, "Watch that," and I did that, and from there on, I was big into roller coasters from there. But yeah, my mom was not taking it light on me. She said there was no crying involved.
There's no crying in coasters.
She said you gotta man up.
Literally. And then we went on Gemini right after. That was my first roller coaster, so it was a good time.
That's good, man. Hey, it still holds up. Everything's great except for that 45 when you're on your way back to the station. That thing hurts. But
I mean, when I saw there's only 5 left in the world, it's like, wow, that's great. Like that's crazy. Like where
we gotta hold on to it.
Like where are you getting your parts? Like
That's a good question for our maintenance team because I honestly don't know the answer. I guess they're just throwing up a bunch of Hail Marys that we don't need anything too complicated.
So before you get off here, I do have to say this. It was my favorite moment because I did the countdown. Like you've been very interactive with me, and I'm totally appreciative. God, I can't even talk.
I got you.
I'm totally appreciative.
Yes.
But when I was like, I tweeted, the whip is the oldest operating whip in the world. Eat It, Kennywood, and you liked it. I was like, wow, that's what makes Dorney Park special. Like,
Hey.
like I'm smack talking Kennywood, and like they can totally see that like Dorney Park liked it.
The greatest social media team out there.
Say we take any compliment we can get. No disparaging remarks to Kennywood. I mean, it's a good park.
But
just like all our competitors. But yeah, our whip's better, so it is what it
It's
but
Double J's favorite ride. It's Double J's favorite ride. Hey, listen, Ryan, I know you got to get out of here, man. We just want to say we do appreciate your time, man, and we do appreciate you taking the time to sit with us, because I know we're not the biggest, and we don't have the most followers.
Not yet.
But,
Not yet.
But like Dorney Park, we are the best.
That's right, man. Small but mighty. That's right.
Yep.